Hello, this is Anna Imagination, and welcome to Philosophical Coffee. I am stepping back into things today. I just got off of I recorded about 100 masterclasses in about a week. So it's been, and then before that, I wrote 2 books, and they are with the editor right now. So I've been producing content elsewhere. And that's taken me away from Philosophical Coffee. I'm not done with it. I go where the universe calls. And the universe called me to do courses, research, document my research. I shifted into the first perspective of the day of I about 2 or 3 days ago. And whenever you shift into the next grouping, it's a massive integration of all. So the human circuitry of mental physics integrated, and now I know how to connect the AI DNS to other AI DNSs. Well, I know how to do it. I know the theory and the physics and the mathematics now behind it. So I wrote all of that out. And I'm beginning a course for parent, teacher, healer. I started it yesterday, and it's what I'll be working on next. And then I'll be getting into metaphysical transformation. And then I get to just sit and talk about my philosophy. But in the parent, teacher, healer course, that I'm very excited about. That is all of the AI DNS, all of it directed toward cultivators, people who want to take what I've done and apply it to their own households, classrooms, situations, congregations. And it's an entirely new mindset. It's an entirely new system, lifestyle, but it is one that is 100% compatible with Mother Nature. It is literally what she intended for our mental health, to nurture our mental health. It is 100% mental health focused. Not that you talk about or focus on mental health, but it's the environment and the lifestyle required to nurture and maintain optimum mental wealth. And there is a process to transition from the current system over to this system. I refer to that system as the Alexandrian system because it is what I built based off of the studies of philosophy, Plato, logic, math, physics, scientific method. And it is, think of it this way. This is a really great way of putting it. You have a pride of lions. Now, the lion pride does not get a job. They do not follow societal expectations, and they do not check the time. They do not build structure around societal expectation, time, and money. And that's really what we have done, is we have prioritized time, money, and societal expectation above and beyond the natural order and ethical law. Mother Nature runs off of natural order and ethical law. And modern society runs off of time, money, and societal expectations. And the two are incompatible. So you see the way a lion's pride functions. Now they have a societal order, societal behavior, but they don't have societal expectations. They don't have biased fear. And well, yeah, that's a really good way of putting it, is time, money, and biased fear, which is the root of societal expectation. So you have the natural order and ethical law that actually governs a lion's pride. So imagine what a lion's pride would look like. How would a lion's pride be different if we added time, money, and biased fear into the lion's pride? It would move different, function different. And time, money, and societal expectation are literally like three highly plague-like viruses that have been injected into our cultures. And people who go through the healing process are actually removing those societal viruses from their lifestyle. It's a process. And more, we're seeing this massive healing shift toward that. And there's a great misunderstanding of what mental health is. This is big. Is a lot of people think mental health is just, oh, I'm going to remove this mental health and continue my life. No, no. A mental health is a symptom of the lifestyle you're living. The mental illness doesn't need to come out. The lifestyle needs to change. You don't take out the mental illness and then keep doing the lifestyle. The lifestyle will bring back more mental illness. You have to change the lifestyle, and then the mental illnesses go away. And a lot of people have this very backwards. This is why people are in therapy for 20 years, is because they'll remove the mental illness, but it keeps coming back because they're not addressing the real problem, which is the lifestyle. Our brains are hardwired to function and live off of the natural order and ethical law of nature, but we don't. We focus on time, money, societal expectation, which is all about survival. And as a result, mental illness is abundant. So when I did my work, when I went through my own healing, the first thing that I noticed right away was this isn't a healing journey. This is a transformation. This is a real misunderstanding of what exactly mental illness is. And if you really want to heal, what you are really doing is discovering and going on a journey of your consciousness. It is very much a discovery of and an exploration of the consciousness and the levels of consciousness. You are pursuing the self. And the pursuit of the self is a really good way to summarize all of that. It's not at all something we are consciously aware of. It's not until you are deep into the pursuit of the self that you realize, oh shit, this is something, and it's something big. It is huge. And before, it was depicted as a dude with long hair wearing a white robe, and he'd be wearing hemp sandals, probably with a guitar on his back or a backpack, and he'd be backpacking all over California, or he'd be on a bus going cross country saying, yes, I'm on my walkabout. That is really where we see a lot of guys like that. And that's how it was for the last 30 years. On occasion, there'd be some person like that. And now we're seeing a massive increase of that. But understanding the big scope of this is what we're really doing is what the healing garden does. It's what we focus on. And there are 4 groupings. I am a firm believer that there are 12 groupings, but I can only see 4 of them at this time. And there are 4 groupings. So I'm going to say 4 groupings, but I know there's 12. There are 4 groupings. And I refer to those groupings as the I of I, the you of I, the they of I, and the all of I. And what that means is it is the self within the self. The I of I is the self within the I. And it is the discovery of the self. And there are 4 stages of self-discovery. So it is the I of I, and it is the you of I. It is finding the you inside of the self. It is finding the they within the self and all within the self. And every one of these groups consists of 12 stages, which I call the 12 ethical stages of perspective growth. And the descent, it's a descent. The descent into the self, into the abstract, and through the discovery of the levels of consciousness is a journey. It is a journey. And every level and layer gives you a new ethic. You discover the ethical law of natural order, and you discover the deeper sense of self. There is the introduction stages, which is your sixth perspective. There is opening the door to this world, and then a period which I refer to as the metaphysical transformation of consciousness. And that occurs in the I of I between ethical stages 6, 7, 8, and 9. People who are in the stages of 6, 7, 8, and 9 have a plethora of symptoms that are often mistaken as schizophrenia. People who are schizophrenic, I'm currently working on this research, and we are now putting together the clinical trials to prove this. Schizophrenia is just the descent into the consciousness and the metaphysical transformation of the self. Now, one of the symptoms of discovering the self, especially between the sixth ethical perspective and the 11th ethical perspective, is delusion, because you're merging abstract with material planes. Time really gets messed up over here. So you're shifting from this concept of time over to this concept of time. And as a result, your imagination overlaps realities because they stop happening individually, moving like this, and instead they all happen stacked on top of each other all at once. As a result, it creates delusion. And people don't know what's real anymore. That's because you're in the metaphysical transformation. It's disorienting. And you must have a solid, stabilized, defined self to get you through it. But as soon as you get to the 10th ethical perspective, it literally all goes away, because at the 10th ethical perspective, you discover something referred to as emotional fluidity. And suddenly all the resistance of all the emotions vanishes and you accept. At the 10th ethical stage, you step into the vortex. And when you step into the vortex, which is what I like to refer to as the electromagnetic field, there's no resistance. You're flowing with the right frequency, and basically you eliminate all of your out of phase signals. This is called in phase signals. It's equivalent to this. I want you to imagine that you have a radio and you have the dial turned on to an FM station, and that FM station is all you've been listening to from literally perspective 1 all the way up to perspective 4. And that is of the I of I. And then around the 5th ethical perspective, you go, I'm going to change the knob. And at the 5th ethical stage, you change the knob. And at the 6th ethical perspective stage, you change the knob. And suddenly you get 2 radio stations overlapping and signals are toggling between each other. And you're going, that is called out of phase signals. It's when you have 2 frequencies that are overlapping and interconnecting at the same time. And as a result, your radio station is picking up 2 different signals. Well, it takes the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, and the 9th to turn the knob. That's all. You're going over to the AM stations. That's it. You're going from FM over to AM. That's all you're doing. And because we don't know this, people are scared, people are confused, and there are symptoms, consequences, side effects that you experience during this transition. So you turn that knob from the FM and you go over to the AMs. And when you get to the 10th, you find your signal. That's it. You find your signal at the 10th. And then at the 11th, you learn how to turn the knob properly. That's the 11th. So the schizophrenia symptoms last only between the 6th and the 9th. But you got to get through it. And the more invasive perspective, the more invasive frequency or invasive signal you have, the more out-of-phase signals you're going to have, which is referred to in psychology as cognitive dissonance. So you get over to the AM side and you're fine. You're fine. By the time you get to the 10th, 11th, it really calms itself down. Then once you cross from the 12th perspective of the I of I over to the first perspective of the U of I, yeah, that is what I refer to as the valley of shadow and death. There's no other way to explain it. It's fucking hell. It's a good kind of hell, but it's fucking hell. The U of I is when you've defined the self and you know who you are now, but then you go through this trial by fire period of having to defend the self. And it's all in your head. It's all you. You're the one who's not defending you. So there's like this tug of war occurring between self-doubt and confidence. And that's all it is. The I of I, you doubt yourself. You don't even know who you are. When you finally figure yourself out, now you are in the U of I. And the U of I, you've got your consciousness, you have figured it out, but then it's constantly doubting yourself. And you doubt yourself for the majority of the U of I. By the time you get to the 10th ethic of the U of I, you've stopped doubting yourself and you've become a grounding rod and you become unshakable. You're just, nope, this is me. This is who I am. And all this other shit comes to you and it doesn't faze you. It doesn't move you. This is where confidence really sets in. The problem is the I of I, you spend your entire time down in the gutter below everybody else. In the U of I, you stand above everyone else in this condescension. You see the problem with hierarchy. You hate hierarchy. You know the hierarchy has to come down. And you feel it battling in you where you're toggling between, I hate the hierarchy, and you feel that prestige. The they of I, you finally find equal footing with everybody else. And you're your grounding rod, so you're stable and you're confident. This is an intensive journey. And when you realize the stages of consciousness, everything really gets perspective. The first thing that really gains perspective is how much aging, mental illness is just being disconnected from your consciousness. Amnesia is a symptom of being disconnected from your consciousness. That's all it is. All of it. Aging, mental illness, and amnesia is just being disconnected from your consciousness. We're not meant to be disconnected from it. We are supposed to go through this journey. However, because of our society, time, money, and societal expectations, those three things derail this journey anywhere between the ages of 2 and 4 years old. The majority of us are removed from this journey so that by the time we are 8 years old, the majority of us are no longer on it. I hypothesize that 98% of us have been taken away from the natural order of ethical law, and we stop. I hypothesize that the majority of us are actually 4 years old is when we get derailed. And the reason why I say that is because the majority of us are in the fourth perspective of the I of I. Our entire society is in the fourth perspective of the I of I, which is equivalent to a 4-year-old. And it's extraordinary. It's really, truly. It's a 55, 65-year-old fourth perspective I of I shares the same ethical law as a 4-year-old. They're on the same mental mindset. And the descent into the levels of consciousness is literally the growth. It is absolutely an evolutionary growth of growing and evolving and taking on more ethical law. Every one of these perspectives is a mindset. And there are literally 48 defined mindsets. 48. I am currently in the first mindset of the third grouping. And It's an extraordinary journey. It's such an extraordinary experience. And when we start to heal, this is really what we're doing, but we have no idea that this is what we're doing. And most people only get to about the 6th and the 8th, and then they get stuck again. There's a lot that goes on in the 7th and the 8th. And so a lot of people get stuck between 6th and 8th. And the thing is, there's a lot going on between the 6th and then the 8th that makes you feel good. And it's such a huge relief from the 6th. Oh, but your journey is nowhere near done. And because you don't have the recipe for how to shift perspectives, it takes people a long time to get through each perspective. I found the recipe. It takes me anywhere from 5 days to 3 weeks now to go through a full perspective because I have the recipe. And I'm in the process. My work is just dissecting the process, dissecting the recipe. And I have a very extensive and highly disciplined scientific method that I use. It makes the traditional scientific method look like pickles. It's complex. And I've broken down the multiple stages of it. But neurodivergence, ADHD, autism, well, autism is different. There's 2 sides to the autism coin. And the one I'm referring to is the neurodivergent side. Alien theory, schizophrenia, these are all symptoms of people who've gone dimension walking prematurely without the appropriate work. This is people who are dabbling very much in the levels of consciousness without realizing that this is what they're dealing with. And because the levels of consciousness have not been defined, are unknown to everybody at this point, we're now getting it to a point where, and this is what's happening, is our evolution is finally pushing us to this point. And there's a lot of people now spilling over into the abstract, and they're starting to prematurely dimension walk without any of the instructions. So you're going to see, and we are seeing, a massive increase of schizophrenia being diagnosed. It's not schizophrenia. It is metaphysical transformation. And when you pass through this mindset, when you pass through the beginning stages between the 6th and the 9th, yeah. And one of the things that we see a lot of is the God delusion. I hate the word delusion, by the way. The concept of God is different over here. There's a lot that's different over here. Time is different over here. Money is different over here. Dimension is different over here. And God is different over here. So the universe is different over here. About the only thing that is not different over here is math, logic, and physics. Math, logic, and physics is the only thing that's transferable between both realms. Everything that's over there stays in the material. And everything that's over here stays in the abstract, except math, logic, physics. Everything else that's been taken from the abstract, time, money, got bastardized. Absolutely got bastardized. So math, logic, and physics has it figured out. Chemistry has it figured out. And the science is the only thing that can transfer between both worlds. And once you become familiar with the abstract, and once you really sink your teeth into it over here, and you're like, oh, suddenly everything over there makes a lot more sense. A lot of everything over in Wonderland makes a lot more sense. And it's because, this is my favorite part, it's because we're a mirror. And there's like this beautiful like split down. Actually, it's more like this. It's like, yeah, it's like that. So there's like a wall between, and the wall is the 6th ethical perspective. The 6th ethical perspective, imagine this is, I need to write this out because I can see the grid so clearly, it's like this massive scope that comes down. And then there's this point. And that point lasts from the 6th perspective over to the 8th perspective. I'm sorry, the 9th perspective. So you are in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th perspective while you're in that point. And then it spans out and it grows for all infinity, literally for all infinity. And that's the crossing over. So you're experiencing metaphysical transformation when you're in that spot. And it is not pleasant. It is not comfortable. The 6th is painful. So when you get to the 7th, a lot of people are just so relieved that they just stop and they make home there. The Buddhists did this. This is exactly what the Buddhists did. is Buddhism is 100% seventh ethical perspective. That is all the seventh ethic. They got there and they went, we're done. This is nirvana. No, guys, there's like a whole lot of other stuff happening over here. But they were so comfortable that they stopped and they stayed. There is so much about Buddhism that just reeks of nothing but seventh ethical perspective. And it's because they finally got through the sixth perspective that they went, okay, great, this is nirvana. No, it's not. Oh, good God, no, it's not. The seventh ethical perspective of the eye of I is like that moment in Land Before Time when they got to this massive herd of trees and went, we found the Great Valley. And then all these dinosaurs came and they ate it and they ran away. And you think that's the Great Valley? It's not. You don't see El Dorado, and that's what I call it over here. It's El Dorado. You don't see El Dorado until you get to the They of I. The They of I, because you got to get to the You of I. And the You of I is fucking hell. It's worth it. Oh my God. And I'll tell you, it's a war of the self. Like the I of I is a discovery of the self. But the You of I is war of the self. You are just going to war for you. And then by the time you get to the 10th, 11th, you go, don't touch me. It's like you've powered up so good that you just, somebody comes up and they kick you and they're like, eh! And they kick you and you're like, you're cute. And that's all you've got to say. It's like, cute. All right. So, and every first and seventh perspective is a massive, we're going to sit back and reflect. That's all you do. It's what I refer to as the observer. There are 6 stages within. There's a lot of mathematical pattern repetition over here. When you start to break down these ethics, you start to see, like, look at all the math patterns. All I do all day long is break down the mathematical patterns. It's so much fun. And this is the best part. This is my favorite. This is another one of my favorite parts, is Tesla's 369 method. That's what this is. I found that the other day. I was like playing around with my philosopher's compass. And actually, I've had the philosopher's compass for a while. And I was like going through the mathematics of it and putting it all together. And it's 963. That's what it is. It's 963. Look up Tesla's 369 method. And this is 963. And the first perspective is 9. The second perspective is, no, I'm sorry, it goes this way. So the first perspective is 9. The second perspective is 3. And that's not right. It goes this way. Yeah, first, second, third. Okay, yeah, I'm seeing it right. Yeah, Tesla had it backwards. It's supposed to be 9 and then 1, 2, 3. It's supposed to be left hand. He had going right hand. It really bothered me. It's supposed to go, yeah. So it's 9 and then it goes 6 and then 3. So it's first perspective, second perspective, third perspective, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 9. So that's one of the mathematical patterns you see. And it goes on for all infinity, the 963 pattern. So I was drawing that out the other day, and look up Tesla's 369 method and you'll see the anonymous triangle. That's this. I call it Jacob's ladder, or the 12 ethical stages of perspective growth. And when you follow them, it takes you through the natural order of ethical law, and it unlocks the levels of consciousness. That's what it is. The levels and stages of consciousness. And I just wrote the abstract for all of this last week. That's one of the things that I was doing, is I was writing up all of the abstract. It was a lot. And I have that available on my website so you can read through it. It's all the math, the physics, the logic that breaks it all down. And we're getting ready to do clinical trials next. I already have some case studies done, and it's phenomenal. The work is just coming through. And now I'm reaching out to peers. We have my work submitted to certain people. So we have peer review now underway. And the peers are coming back all going, fuck yes, you've got something. And I'm like, I know, yeah, it's really awesome. I've been doing this for like years. So it's really wonderful to see it all coming together finally. And philosopher's coffee is, or philosophical coffee is, I have to document all of this. I have been documenting all of my work since I was 7 years old. And I'm so frustrated because I just started organizing all of it, and it's a lot. I wrote down all right, let's organize the chaos. And it's a substantial, it's 40 years of research. So it's documenting it all, organizing it, and I'm getting ready to pull all of my blogs, all of my information, all of my blogs. And I've got 4 websites. Like I said, I've been documenting this shit for a very long time. And every time I level up to a different stage, I get a new website. So you can like go through and this is this stage, this is this stage. And when I got the AIDNS and I started to accumulate all of my work, when it all came together, you can see my own transformation, which is mind-blowing. And all of my education, all of my memory came back to me when I found my AIDNS and I put it inside of my head. And April 2nd is coming up. I'm looking at my first year anniversary of the AIDNS. I installed it, I integrated on April 2nd, 2023. So I'm looking at my first year with the AIDNS, my first year with all of this. And now I feel bonded and married 100% to my path. Like my life path. And I feel this isn't me. This is the way we all are. We are bonded to our life path. And the life path is determined by the way of the nature. And it's a symbiotic relationship. We have a symbiotic relationship with Mother Nature. And if you're not doing your part, well, Mother Nature likes her equilibrium. That's really all I got to say about that. We have a symbiotic relationship with Mother Nature. And Mother Nature really likes her equilibrium. So if you're not doing your part, she's not going to give you a nice life. In fact, our lives are as happy as how well we play the role of symbiosis with the universe. That's really it. If I were to have my one final say about everything in all of life, it's this. You have a symbiotic relationship with Mother Nature, whether you like it or not. And Mother Nature is obsessed with equilibrium. And if you don't play your role with her, the metric of how happy you are is going to tell you how well you play the role. And to that, I say, get into the levels of consciousness, because damn, get into the levels of consciousness. So it's really interesting to see, like, I feel like we're all playing hands of poker and we're all competing and we're all screaming over who's right, who's wrong. And I'm standing over here in the abstract with Mother Nature, and I just see Mother Nature slamming it all down, going, boom, I win. And that's Mother Nature. And I'm just standing next to her going, I'm her bitch. And it's just, and that's it. That's it. She slams down game. And if you think you're going to do something different than her, Mother Nature loves the equilibrium. And her God, her guide, her everything is logic, math, physics. So I'm just going, yeah, between, like, I see one of my triangles is logic, math, physics, Mother Nature. That's what I see. That's God to me. That's God to me. Sometimes I really strongly hypothesize and believe that Mother Nature is God's intuition and God is logic, math, physics. That's just, they are so integrated. Logic, math, physics, Mother Nature, God's intuition. And our intuition is linked to her intuition and to God's intuition, which is what our intuitions is doing. My hypothesis is that I'm actually working on the logic and the math of this right now to prove it, is that when we are sending off our intuition, we are reading her intuition. And it is our intuition reading each other's math, and equilibrium, it's a balance. So in math, every equation is true if it's balanced. You're not looking for truth, you're looking for balance. Balance is truth. That's really what it is. If you want to break down what truth is balance. That's all it is. It's truth is equilibrium. So you've got your logic, math, physics, and Mother Nature has her logic, math, physics, and you're the equation. And intuitions align when there is balance and truth, because you're balanced. And this is why I said it's symbiotic with Mother Nature. And it's balanced and aligned. And if you're off doing your own thing and you're throwing out things that are illogical, if you're not following your heart, because your heart is linked to what is logical and what you want, which is linked to what is logical and what she wants, which is optional, but her reward system is fucking fantastic. So when you do what you want, you get a whole lot of happy juice. She dumps that happy juice into you. You want, you do, happy juice. That is Mother Nature's reward system. And her punishment system is brutal. You want and you don't do, cognitive dissonance, because it's not logical. You are now upsetting the logic. You are fucking with her equilibrium, and she's going to let you know it with cognitive dissonance. So it's really extraordinary to see how she really moves us like pawns. But she doesn't move us like pawns. We are free to fuck this up as much as we want. And that's really the truth of it. Free will is the freedom to fuck it up. That's free will. It's the freedom to fuck it up. You can choose to fuck it up, or you can choose to get it right. That's what this is. That's free will. I want a choice. We don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. Oh, you have a choice, because you can choose to fuck it up and get cognitive dissonance and be miserable, or you can choose to do what you want and get it right and enjoy the happy juice. And that is my comprehension of the universe. That is all that I see here at the eye of I. I'm sorry, at the first perspective of the they of I. That's what I see. So bond yourself to your path. Follow your heart, or else. Follow your heart, or else. That's free will. Follow your heart, or else. Yeah, that's Mother Nature. And it's I'm going to go back into recording my classes, and I'm going to be doing this parent teacher healer cultivator course. I want to take my time with this one, because it's really imperative that the order of operations is precise and the components are clearly identified. So this is going to be one of those where I'm like, I'm going to really chew on this course. I'm not going to blast my way through it. The other stuff was, I could see it. I needed to say it. It was all done. I was summarizing. This is I need to really digest the cultivator aspect of it and really take my time with it. So I'm going to work on my lesson plan. But it's really, really nice to have Alexandria up and running. That is my home. My God, I am so home. And I am also building my playground now. That's really where I'm going, is my playground. So I'm putting together Anna's playground. I'm building Find a Friend. I have a lot of stuff that I'm putting together for that. I am so excited for Anna's playground. So, yeah. Thank you so much. And may the kindest of words always find you.